Meyer? Just come here, Meyer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. Dear viewers and listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my distinct pleasure and privilege to extend a very warm welcome to one and all to this live production, this live presentation of the launch of the Al-Ikhlaas Academia Library Multimedia Studio. Alhamdulillah, we have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the ability that we have been graced with to see the realization of this dream. We also have to take this opportunity and extend a most profuse gratitude to our donors who very generously ensured that whatever resources we required, that it was gracefully given to us. And today we can confidently say that we've got a world-class standard studio, multimedia studio. Needless to say, this facility is primarily to execute programs undertaken by the Al-Ikhlaas Academia Library, and I must say that we have a very vibrant committee of people that's going to be implementing various programs that we will be speaking about very soon. However, more importantly, I wish to say that at a very nominal fee, the studio is going to be made available to our NGOs, to organizations out there who at a nominal fee can have the full use of the studio. One primary concern for us would be that only the in-house operator is going to functionalize our equipment. So the operator is going to be our in-house operator, and a small fee would be attached to that. But in all honesty, the studio is there to uplift and to enhance the belief systems of our people, and ultimately we want to serve humanity through this studio, and ultimately hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grace the success that we so deeply desire and have worked hard very much for. So tonight we want to introduce to you the 5 programs that's going to be undertaken by the Al-Ikhlaas Academia Library. The first one would be Converse Academia. Converse Academia is a program that is going to be headed by Dr. Yusuf Patel, a very young medical doctor who is very keen on articulating and debating discourse of various topics that once again is relevant on a global scale. You'll meet him later. The second program that we're going to be undertaking would be, needless to say, because we're a library, we are going to have regular book launches, and these would include books, for children, for adults, research reference material as well. And this is going to be coordinated and pioneered by another young man. We're very privileged to have lots of young people at our disposal here tonight. Maqbool Dalvi will be heralding that particular segment. The third one is a program called Ladies Terrace. This will be managed and coordinated by Shahana Mia. Shahana Mia is a counselor. She's a worker in the field of supporting human structure, human endeavors on all levels. One of the reasons we felt it's eminently important for us to have this program is because we felt that women do not have the podium, to articulate their concerns and their challenges. I think historically we've only made available sacred time to them once a year, the 9th of August, when it's Women's Day. What Academia Library is saying, here is a slot of 1.5 to 2 hours that is entirely and exclusively available to the women, where they can articulate and matters that concern them, challenges that they have, that is particularly peculiar to women. The next program is the program that is called the Youth Breeze. Once again, there's a bunch of youth that's going to be articulating the concerns, and I think once again we have a young man that is in final year medicine, Ilyas Amin, who has the ability and who has the innovative yearning to find out exactly what is bothering the youth at ground level, and best articulated by them. The last program that we will be managing here would be the webinars that we have been articulating, that we've had on air for maybe the last 2 years, or since the advent of COVID. We've had possibly in excess of 15 webinars. This will be headed by none other than Mr. Shabuddin Romani. So to get the ball rolling, I have with me Dr. Yusuf Patel, who is going to be articulating concerns concerning the segment called Converse Academia. I would like to hand you over to Dr. Yusuf Patel.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all our viewers out there. Jazakallah khair, Uncle Ilyas, for the introduction and for presenting the preliminaries to tonight's program. In a nutshell, Converse Academia is our overarching program that will be essentially focusing on various topics that are affecting our community on a local and on a global level. One of the things that we have seen and realized is that there is a lack, there's a dearth of meaningful conversations within our communities, and Converse Academia is looking to heal and rehabilitate that issue that we have seen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the concept of a good word within the Quran, kalimatan tayyibatan. And I think that's an apt reminder for us. To look at the value of having meaningful conversations with various individuals and experts within our society. There's a crisis of mentorship, there's a crisis of excellence, and one of the key objectives of the library is to dispel ignorance. And one of the ways that we can do that is by having various practitioners within our community, various individuals who have spent decades of their lives focusing on specific areas, theoretically and practically, to be able to impart those knowledge bases that they've acquired with time. So inshallah, Converse Academia will be looking at a variety of topics. It'll be looking at different subject matters, and inshallah we hope to empower ourselves and to empower the community by being able to impart those discussions and meaningful conversations to the rest of society. So shukran, Uncle Ilyas, and I'll leave it as that.
Jazakallah shukran, Yusuf. So within the foreseeable future, we'll have the first program of Converse Academia going live. It is now my pleasure to call upon, and I think maybe before I do so, I need to say that Yusuf is very committed to moderating and debating contemporary issues that's relevant on a global scale. And I think the idea of Converse Academia, as you said, is to have a diverse discussion on topic that is relevant on a global scale. The next person that we have, the next program that we like to discuss is the book reviews that will be headed by Brother Makbul Dalwe. Ultimately, the library's primary objective is to get more people to read, more people to analyze what they read, to have a comprehension and comprehensive understanding of what they read. And how best could we facilitate that, we felt, is to have a subsequent book review of each book that comes out and each book that we feel is in essence and is necessary for people to read. How Makbul is going to do that, I'll leave over to him, the objectives, the modus operandi of the book review segment. Over to Brother Makbul Dalwi.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Sayyidina wa nabiyyina wa maulana Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Shukran, Dr. Ilyas. My name is Makbul Dalwi, and I'm honored to be selected or volunteered to do the book reviews for the Academia Library. And as Muslims, we are instructed to seek knowledge, to exert effort into exerting knowledge, and then to teach what we have learnt. We all know that the first words revealed in the Holy Quran was Iqra, which is an instruction to read, to inquire, to do research. And there are numerous famous hadith of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that instruct us to pursue this knowledge. Hadith such as it's incumbent on every Muslim male and female to follow the path of knowledge, to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. And it's with these conditions or these instructions in mind that it's an important part of the Academia Library program to ensure that we do follow that path of searching for knowledge and teaching others. So in that vein, the book reviews will be done in a manner where books will be identified, whether they be at launch or whether they are gems within the library. Obviously, every book in itself is a gem, but the time wouldn't permit us to do reviews on all the books. And these can be chosen initially in the library itself, but the idea is to give the community the opportunity to suggest books for review. To find the appropriate person to do the review, if it's a book for teenagers, etc., one would want a teenager to do the review. If it's a scholarly work, an academic from the community to do the review, to then share their ideas on the book and what they've learned from it, and to summarize that, and to hopefully inspire all of us, where appropriate, to go and to take the book out of the library or to purchase the book and to read the book for ourselves. And these reviews and the ability to contribute will be available on the library's social media platforms. Shukran, Dr. Ilyas.
Jazakallah, Brother Makbul. And maybe I'd just like to add that the inspiration and the point of departure for the book review is simply born out of the very first verse of Iqra. And I think we at the library believe that the verse of Iqra is actually a declaration of war on ignorance. And who is that ignorance? I think who is that declaration of war on? It is on those that sit with the knowledge and those that are supposed to seek the knowledge. So we at the library will continue to enhance and to make reading a pleasurable exercise, to make it a comprehensive approach, to make it an analytical one so that everybody understands, and hopefully we'll go back to the olden days where it was incumbent upon growing children to read, to actually have a feel of paper in your hand. Yes, we are at modern times, we have the digital phenomena that has overtaken our youth, but it's still important to ensure that they read the right material, that they read the material they ought to read. We at the library have the challenge of putting books on the shelf that we think people should read, but we need to remember what people want to read as well. And hopefully the book review series will facilitate and assist us in that regard. It is now my pleasure to move to the third segment of the program provision of the Al-Ikhlaas Academia Library Multimedia Studio. And the third one that we're going to be shortly addressing is called the Ladies' Terrace. As I said at the beginning, this is a program, it's a platform for the ladies, by the ladies, articulating problems that are specifically unique to the ladies. And hopefully we can facilitate the transformation of the gender equality, or rather the approach and the achievement of gender equality at some level through and via the means of this program. I have the pleasure to call upon Shahana Mia. Shahana Mia is somebody that has particularly keen interest in seeking and foregrounding issues that are socially relevant to women at all levels, and particularly at parental level. I have the pleasure to call upon Shahana Mia.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Doctor, for inviting me to be part of this team and to host and coordinate the Ladies' Terrace. So when I think of a terrace, I think of this beautiful environment that's safe and calm and relaxing, a space where we can have a chat, where we can have a cup of coffee and share some ideas and have some debates as well. So the Ladies' Terrace is an avenue and a platform to aspire to that environment. What we would like to do in this platform is address contemporary issues that ladies are facing from all backgrounds and all ages, because we do believe that ladies are the embodiment of society and the development of that way. So it's definitely an exclusive program that we want to encourage and look forward to. I think we all know that women's chats are timeless. So whether it's over a cup of coffee at home, in the kitchen table, if it's in a restaurant at lunch, if it's a social media platform, or even meeting at the sports field and having a chat there, women like the engagement. Women like to feel a sense of belonging. They like to have a sense of encouragement and support. And it's a platform and an area where we just want to encourage other people. So this Ladies' Terrace is going to strive to do that and nurture that environment for our women, to address the issues that are relevant to them and contemporary for them in that way. It's also sometimes an area where we have issues of that just give us a sense of despair and a feeling of being uncomfortable, maybe feeling helpless and longing for something else and a sense of support. So we will also aspire to do that in that way altogether. I think though the big thing to recognize is that we're going to look at the lady from a holistic perspective and discuss a variety of issues. So we're looking at her social area, and intellectual space, spiritual platform. We're looking at discussing discourses regarding parenting, whether it's marriage, whether it's other forms of relationships, finance, economic issues, politics and media, all of those we are engaging in terms of women in our society. So those are the kind of things that we want to bring into this platform, to be able to discuss those issues so that we can have an information gathering experience from that, but also enlightening us in that way altogether. I'd like to encourage people that if there are topics of interest and concern, please just make contact with us so we can then put that as part of our program and work with it that way, because we want to create a holistic approach to this woman and look at her psychosocial well-being in totality that way. And then I just want to encourage us all to just be participative in this experience, because we also, our panelists are not going to be necessarily only females. We're going to expand that because we do believe there's an area of growth and it's an area of learning through that. So we will encourage those aspects to the woman as well. And lastly, I would think that we want to maybe debunk some myths. We want to enlighten, encourage our women. We want to uplift them and support them in that way. And, we often talk about wearing many hats, but I would rather like us to look at it in terms of the Ladies' Terrace, that we want to feel accepted and comfortable in wearing the crowns that we do have. And that's what the Ladies' Terrace is going to.
Well said. I think that's great, Shana. I think you've epitomized the comprehensive and holistic approach that we should have, particularly when it comes to our women. One question, not to put you on the spot, but with Women's Day coming up on the 9th of August, which is about 2 months, less than 2 months, a pipeline that our women can look forward to? Maybe we just want to shed some light on if there's something?
Definitely there's something. We've got a good panel of speakers coming through, and we're just going to raise the level, elevate the ladies a little bit more, and I think we're just going to encourage people to join in and come and listen to our program, because it's going to give us a different perspective on our
super. I think that we're all looking forward to the evolution of these various programs, and I think the one to look forward to, needless to say, would be the one on the 9th of August.
Yeah.
On the calendar of the Ladies' Terrace. Jazakallah. And shukran for coming.
Often, Jazakallah so much.
Yeah, needless to say, whatever we do at this library, it starts with the women. Whether it is reading, it's the women, that by and large is going to instill and imbibe the essence and the desire for reading in our children. Whether it is, for that matter, tuning into our webinars. Ultimately, I think the women are the focal, they're the cardinal point of life. They just don't give birth. They don't just give life, but the evolution and the growth thereof and the churning of the tiny little baby that is born on the day of his birth. They are the ones that see to the evolution of that child into an adult, into being a prominent contributor towards society. And I think we are grateful for that. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever we do here, it's our mothers, it's our sisters, our daughters that ultimately are responsible for ensuring that the status quo continues. Talking about our daughters, we've got one of our sons here, a young man, possibly the youngest member of the Academia Library Executive Committee, Brother Ilyas Amin. Ilyas is this gentleman that is going to be pioneering, that's going to be heading the program called Youth Breeze. He's somebody who has his ear to the ground. He's also the chairperson of the MSA at the University of Cape Town, fifth-year medical student. I think he's in touch, with every endeavor, every trepidation, every challenge, every misconception, every myth that exists out there within the ambit of the thinking and the thought processes of our youth. Over to Ilyas.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, when we look at the statistics, the United Nations, we learn that over 60% of Africa is actually below the age of 25. So that if you meet, for every 5 people that you meet on the African continent, 3 of them are below the age of 25. So Africa is young, it's the youngest continent. And if you couple that with the fact that over the next decade, Islam will become the largest religion in Africa, therefore it is crucial that when we reflect on what type of initiatives that we do, that we have to focus and invest our time and energy on the development and empowerment of young Muslims, because Africa is young, and in the coming decade, the largest religion in Africa will be Islam. So our focus has to be on young Muslims, this burgeoning population of our society. So what are we going to do? There's sort of 3 things that we're going to do with the Youth Breeze program. The first thing that we have to do is to understand what are the issues that young people are facing. As you've mentioned, there's many of them, whether it's mental health, whether it's the question of identity, the question of unemployment, the question of poverty. And to hear it from the young people themselves. Sometimes we can often have this top-down approach, but to actually understand and hear from young people what are the issues that they are facing, but to construct solutions that are grounded in evidence-based practice, grounded in the Quran and grounded in the Sunnah. The second objective of the space is to develop our young people into becoming what we call thought leaders. Because it's not just about tackling youth issues, it's about using young people, which is the majority of the African continent, to solve Africa's problems. Whether it's the problem of climate change, the problem of poverty, the problem of xenophobia. Empowering our young people to become leaders to tackling these major issues that we will be faced with over the next coming decades. But the third objective, which I think is probably one of the most important, is to really break this divide that currently exists between secular and Islamic knowledge. We need to have the best of doctors, the best of engineers, the best of lawyers, the best of scientists, but we need doctors who are grounded in the Quran, and we need scientists who are grounded in the hadiths. We need engineers who are grounded in the seerah, the life of the Prophet ﷺ. We need marine biologists who are grounded in tazkiyah. We need lawyers who are grounded in fiqh and usul al-fiqh. We need people who are able to bring together the best of the material sciences and the best of the sacred sciences. And this, in my view, is the objective of the Youth Breeze program.
Well, there we go. I think that's a mouthful. That's a wide range of topics that touch the life of every youth at every level. And I think it is something that we really can look forward to. It's something that requires a lot of thinking, planning, and making sure that we are discussing the topics that is so dearly needed by our youth out there. And I think the platform of that the Al-Ikhlaas Academia Library is offering is one that I invite all youth to explore and to use and to ensure that whatever it is they require, put a request to the library and we'll get the literature. If any discussion emanates out of any of these discussions, online discussions, any book that is required, feel free to put in the request and we'll get it. Ilyas, Jazakallah, and all the best for the rest of your studying here and beyond, inshallah. And Jazakallah for coming and playing a sterling role in the coming about of this program.
Afwan, may Allah accept from all of us, inshallah.
Well, there we go. Ilyas is a young man that definitely has a very innovative and a pioneering insight into the thinking, the challenges of our youth out there. And I'm calling upon our youth to use that pioneering insight that is so vibrantly available, that is so skillfully at his disposal, to use that to enhance one's understanding, to cross certain bridges, to ensure that we entrench a life that is meant for the youth, and to utilize the opportunities that we have. Because this is not just Ilyas, he's supported by a very able group of young people that is going to ensure that this program comes around regularly and that it is innovatively done in a manner that reaches the needy and for who that this program is meant for. The last program that we're going to be introducing under the auspices of Al-Ikhlaas Academia Library is the series of webinars. Now you will recall since the COVID-19 pandemic hit us, the Academia Library switched from a physical interaction with programs onto an online series of programs. And I think that is what sort of act as a stimulus for us to actually install our own multimedia studio. Though we had a number of in excess of 15 webinars over the last maybe 15 or 18 months, most of them was the creative thinking, the pioneering, the management thereof, the execution thereof, and most of them were even anchored by none other than Shahabuddin Romani, and therefore he's the person that's going to be unfolding and unrolling, or rather rolling out the series of webinars as we go forward. Shahabuddin, over to you.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And good evening, and maybe good morning to those who might be listening in any other part of the world. And thank you, Ilyas. I think largely webinars are almost the kind of go-to space within which people these days interact. And it allows you to produce quality material that perhaps previously we didn't do. And I must thank you in particular, I think, for your foresight in putting a studio of this kind together. I think it's been a fantastic journey for us, and were it not for the facilities that we have within the ambit of the library here in Cape Town, we would obviously have failed in our duty to kind of promote the kind of knowledge and expose people to events of this nature. So webinars, by and large, is kind of worldwide phenomenon these days, and you know that more and more, because of the advent of COVID, we were almost forced into a position where it was the means of communicating, but it's evolved over a period of time, and it's become the kind of go-to space for disseminating quality information. So you're right, we've produced something like 15, 16 really high-quality webinars over the last 2-3 years, and I think we've been largely very successful. I mean, we've had people complimenting us both on the quality of the content and our participants. I think it was fantastic. So we're planning to have more and more webinars going forward. In fact, the next one that we're planning is that will deal hopefully with the issues of Muslims in India and the exposure to the kind of right-wing Hindu movement. We have already booked 1 or 2 very, very good speakers, and we look forward to having them. And like this particular one that's going to come off hopefully before the end of this month, there are going to be quite a few more high-quality webinars that we're going to be producing.
Somebody, if I might say, I think we've been very fortunate, and it's an indication once again of your abilities and skill to source the right speakers, that more than half of our webinars had panelists from abroad.
Yes.
And I think that for me is the success of having cutting-edge contributions in these various.
And I think what it does do is to kind of narrow the gap between the global community and ourselves in South Africa. And I think that's we've achieved that. And I think for us at Academia Library in particular, I think it's a feather in our cap that we managed to produce these webinars with global speakers.
Maybe if you just want to say us in the various platforms that our webinars and other programs will be available.
Well, it would be across the board. In fact, the previous speakers that we've had on the panel today, I'm hoping that I'm going to encourage them also to produce webinars on their particular topics that we can disseminate, globally speaking.
So maybe I'll just end off the segment by saying that our webinars, our discussions will be on our social media platforms, Instagram,
all
Facebook, as well as on our YouTube channel, and above all, it will be on our 346 channel as well, on television.
On television.
So it's abroad, it's available to anybody, anywhere in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's YouTube, it's on TV, and in fact the channel that it's going to be broadcast across Africa, so people will have access to the content and the material that we're producing across Africa.
Shahabuddin, Jazakallah, and once again thank you for so sternly contributing and ensuring the success of the webinars in the past. So that is it. Once again, just to recap then, that the 5 programs that will be engineered and that will be presented by Academia Library would be the following: 1, Ladies Terrace; 2, the Youth Breeze; 3, the webinars; 4, the book reviews; and 5, Converse Academia. Once again, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to thank all our viewers for tuning in. Last but not least, do remember that at a nominal fee, the Al-Ikhlaas Academia Library Multimedia Studio is available to organization purely at a nominal fee to ensure that we can sustain the studio going forward, so that as many people as possible will benefit through this wonderful studio that we've managed to put together. Jazakallah, thank you very much, and do enjoy the rest of the cold weather in Cape Town. Wherever you are, be safe, take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.